and also the 10th Amendment. Now, that's the one that Rick Perry cited today.
Yes.
Rick Perry's the governor of Texas, and he's the guy that is now getting on board with, I think it's, House Combined Resolution 50, that basically says to the federal government, you know, if we didn't authorize you a specific power in the Constitution, you don't got it. And what's going on right now is a lot of states. Have you ever driven across Texas, Nancy?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have.
Okay. So how long did it take you?
A long time.
Okay. Well,
it's a long Texas mile.
Long Texas mile is right. You get out, crossing over the Permian Basin, headed out toward Midland, Odessa. I mean, I can see a 70, 75 mile an hour speed limit when you're near a big crowded urban area, but my golly, you get out, basically anything west of maybe Abilene or that area, all the way out to El Paso. There's no reason not to drive 85 miles an hour, except for the matter of fuel efficiency. And that's kind of a specious argument when you get right down to it, because if fuel efficiency was really so important, the high-paid executives who fly their own little jets around with them and a pilot, co-pilot, and one other person in it, using the nation's air traffic control system. And I have friends who have their own jets, and they're great people, and they make a lot of money, and the reason they have them is because they simply cannot afford the ridiculous waits at airports. Okay? I understand all of that, but the best fuel efficiency of an airplane that I've been able to find is an STOL equipped like Cessna 122 flown on a cool day at a slow cruise speed. And those will maybe get you about 20 miles to the gallon. Maybe. But you look at the burn rate on some of these small corporate jets, and got news for you. What your car burns at 85 miles an hour ain't nothing compared to some of these airplanes. So, I mean, I'm just saying that, why should poor people on the ground be held to a different standard of performance than rich people in the sky overlooking, or should I say, looking down on them?
Yeah, looking down on them is a good expression.
Well, I mean, that's really what we have. It's interesting, and not to belabor the point, but a lot of the stuff that Democrats and Republicans, which I call Democorps and Republicorps, because they all make their money the same way, doing the bidding of lobbyists in the nation's capital for the most part, that's really not the game that's afoot here. There is a ruling class in America. The ruling class in America is that list of names that shows up on the front of the various personality-oriented magazines. And America has been dumbed down to the point of believing that right-left politics is the whole deal. It's not. It's about a small 1 or 2% of the population, which has enjoyed an incredible concentration of wealth coming in its direction because they happen to buy the technologies, make the investments early on. That's all cool. But what ends up happening is most of the really, really rich people I know do not pay as much income tax as I do. Go ahead, ask me how they do it.
You know how they do it, huh?
Oh, it's easy.
Well, let's take a break, and then you can tell us, and maybe we can copy it.
You bet. Pleased to share it.
All right. This is Beyond the Ordinary with George A. Ure, MBA.
We are with the Beyond the Ordinary, George Ure, right here. And just to follow up on what you were saying there, so tell us, how is it that you pay more taxes than the rich person flying over?
Well, okay, let's say that I'm a rich guy or a rich woman, makes no difference. Taxes really don't care who's evading them. And I'm making, let's say, $1 million a year, okay? So what I do is I take a nominal salary. Let's say I take $50,000 a year as my income. And then, let's say the balance of my income, $950,000 or so, is taken as the present value of stock options. Okay? I take those stock options when issued, and I have them delivered to an offshore proxy. In other words, I go down, let's say, to the Turks and Caicos or the ABC Islands, Grand Cayman, Channel Islands, Switzerland. By the way, Switzerland is just really swirling right now with activity because Switzerland's got something like 50,000 Americans who have accounts in Switzerland, some of which undoubtedly are harboring funds upon which taxes have not been paid. So anyway, you get these stock options. You let them bake offshore for a year or two. You convert the options into the stock, now offshore, and that stock is then sold offshore through offshore stock trading accounts, and the money goes into your offshore bank account where, because tax avoidance is not a crime in these places, you pay no tax on it, and then you bring in small amounts of money whenever you need it. You can bring in $10,000 when you fly in on an airplane, or you can wire transfer money around for whatever reason, and there's very little traceability on it, and there's no way to attach on wire transfers proof that income tax was at some point paid. And so I actually know of people in this situation who are making a ton of money offshore and then have the audacity to say, yes, income taxes should go up. And I'm going, hold on a minute. I just paid a huge five-figure income tax bill during 2008 because I do consulting. And it's strategic planning and how to help businesses make money or lose less money, as the case may be. And I really enjoy consulting. I love working with my clients. But at the same time, I look at my clients who are all small guys, can't play that stock option, offshore stock delivery game. And these are really the small business end up paying usually more than the big board of director guys who take their money offshore. It just ain't right, unfortunately. I would be all in favor, totally in favor, of any executive of an American corporation who takes any kind of compensation, take the compensation as taxable cash inside the United States only. Then if there's some value in buying stock options, let them buy stock options like you and I can. But why should they get the preferential treatment? Well, it's the game.
Mm-hmm. It's the game. Let's just shove the game and talk about magnetics.
Oh, okay. The really fun stuff. Have you guys ever had Robert Nelson on?
No.
Robert Nelson is a guy who's got a website called rexresearch.com, rexresearch.com. And he's out in the Las Vegas area, and he has got the coolest, most eclectic collection of just neat stuff. You can buy a CD from him. I think it's like $20 or something. But it is the coolest collection of starting points for all kinds of inventions, breakthroughs, and so forth. And one of the things that's in his collection is the work of Hans Kohler. You probably have never heard of Hans Kohler. Hans Kohler was a German fellow who came up with a way of getting electricity out of the ether. Now, depending on where you went to school, when you went to school, either A, does not exist, or B, if you really understand quantum mechanics, yeah, it maybe exists, but we can't prove it yet, and we don't know how to get energy out of it. But back during World War II, there were, and even before, in fact, one of my readers sent me a device made by, I want to say his name was Perotti, P-E-R-R-O-T-I or some such, an inventor who lived in Kansas City back in about 1927 or so, and had supposedly come up with a free energy device. Well, this reader of mine didn't have a lot of test equipment. I've got I won't say a well-equipped electronics lab, but I have a well-equipped electronics lab, and sent it to me and said, "Hey, why don't you tinker around with this?" And it's a collection of 100 coils that are laid out on 1-inch centers, some wound this way, some wound the opposite way, and connected in a very bizarre pattern from which it is alleged that energy could be collected. Naturally, when somebody starts talking to me about free energy, I get this little, I start seeing dollar signs in my eyes, and I go, well, hey, this would be pretty cool. And there are lots of documents that have been either never really investigated in a scientific way, or alternatively have been suppressed. And one of the documents that I got from Robert was an 1861 UK publication done by James Clerk Maxwell. And Maxwell's like the godfather of all magnetics. And this is a paper that apparently was done before Oliver Heaviside went through, and only worked on a couple of Maxwell's equations. And this guy, if you read the 1861 work from Maxwell, it's like popping open Scientific American today. I mean, he says everything but the word nanotube, and this is almost 150-year-old material.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible stuff.
So you're working on that and some other. You've got a lot of gadgets around.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have our goat herd. I think last time I talked to you, the goat herd was at 12 or so, 11 or 12, and it's up now to 23. And with any luck, by this fall, it'll be up to about 40 or 45. My objective is to get it up to about 100 goats, which is about the right size herd for this kind of property. And so that keeps me busy. And then I have the consulting, and then I'm fooling around in magnetics, and then we're remodeling the house and doing some really perpendicular things to that.
Now, tell us about your hedge, that Porsche.
Oh, yeah. Cars are kind of an interesting thing. For some number of months, I started thinking about this in November of last year, and I started looking around